Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about a Christmas movie called Our Little Secret, and this movie is starring Lindsay Lohan and Ian Harding. And in the past, I think maybe 2 to 4 years ish, I've been seeing Lindsay Lohan come back on the scene. She's been in a couple of movies. I haven't watched all of them. I think this might be the first or second one I'm watching with her in it. I know some of them have not been so great, but I think for the most part she's doing her thing and she's coming back, and I think that's really great for her. Obviously, if you've ever seen Pretty Little Liars, Ian Harding was Ezra Fitz in Pretty Little Liars. A lot of controversy there, but with the character. But we're not talking about that today. We're talking about Our Little Secret. And so pretty much the movie pretty much starts off with, I think her name is Avery. I can't remember what Ian Harding's character's name is, so I'm just going to call him Ian throughout this video. But Avery's father narrates at the beginning. He tells pretty much of Avery and Ian's relationship up until from childhood up until college, and then we get a scene where I think she's going to London and they're having a party for her at her father's house, and we also know that her mother has passed away. I think it's recently or not, I'm not sure how recent it was, but her mother passed away. So her and her father, they're having a party for her, I guess a going away party for her because she's going to London. And in the midst of this party, Ian proposes to her and she pretty much turns him down. And he's like, oh, you're running away from everything. He says things like, oh, if your mother was here, this wouldn't have happened, and all of this stuff. And I'm just like looking at this dude like, whoa, this is highly inappropriate. He's saying like, oh, you don't care about me, blah blah blah. And I'm just sitting here like, okay, regardless of the time frame in which her mother passed away, that's a really touchy subject, and I feel like, or topic, and I feel like bringing that up is kind of wild at a party where she's going away. It doesn't really seem like they spoke about him proposing. It didn't, like, this seemed really off to her. And also he just says some crazy stuff, and it's like, yo dude, relax. It's like, okay, I would have turned down a proposal like that too, because super inconsiderate, uncaring, and like not the right time. And so pretty much they end things, and then they take us through this 10-year, I think it's 10-year montage of all these things that have been going on in the world while Avery and Ian have not been together. And then we get to 2024, and they both have their separate relationships now. They haven't spoken in all of these years. Her father now has someone new. Seems like they have a good relationship. That's not ever a point of contention in the movie. And yeah. And then their mission for this Christmas is they're going to each other's significant others' families. I believe it seems like for the first time, at least for Avery, it was the first time. I'm not entirely sure if for Ian's character, if it was the first time. But however, they're going to each other's significant others' families. And then when they get there, lo and behold, we see that their significant others are actually brother and sister. If you read the information before you read that movie, before you watched the movie, you would know that that's what was going to happen. Now, I was more interested to see how they would go about doing this in this movie. And I do think they did it pretty well. I take issue, not with the movie itself, but it's like, okay, so immediately when they realize that, oh snap, we're dating our significant others, our brother and sister, they pull each other into the bathroom to talk. And Avery decides, hey, we're not gonna let them know that we dated. And my problem with this is that, okay, so what if you end up spending the rest of your lives with each of these people, with these individuals? So you just plan on going throughout the rest of the entirety of your life without ever telling them that y'all dated. Mind you, it's like they grew up together, they dated, fell in love, like they were in each other's lives majority of their lives, say for the past 10 years. And so to just not mention that when you're dating like your like significant others or siblings is so crazy to me. But okay, keep in mind he's not the one that mentioned this, she did. And so, you know, we go out throughout the movie with them pretty much trying to hide this stuff. Her boyfriend's mother doesn't seem to take to her, but it pretty much, it seems like it's one of those mama's boy situations where it's like, okay, I have a son and like I can't let go of him and I'm jealous of every woman, you know, he brings my way. We also meet her boyfriend's ex, who happens to be the daughter of his mother and father's best friends. And it seems like they still kind of have some connection based on how the boyfriend looks at said ex. But we'll get back to that a little bit later. And so throughout the movie, she goes, on trying to pretty much gain the approval, I guess, of his mom, her boyfriend's mother. And, Ian suggests that, okay, I'll help you do that. And in return, I guess he's in construction. She'll help him with his construction proposal. And throughout the movie, she does some wild stuff. She, well, not wild, but like she gives like this speech, I guess, telling the story of Jesus's birth at a church. And it turns into them singing celebrate good times or whatever, celebration. And of course it's the black people that gotta like carry on and like catch the song in the church, mind you. And then afterwards, of course, like, her boyfriend's mother is like embarrassed. She's like, ugh, like I'm gonna have a word with her. But the priest comes out and he's like, hey, like this is the most I've seen anyone enjoy a service in like ever. And that's pretty sad. But anywho, but before that, they actually went to get a tree for the house. And first of all, how are you enlisting two people to go get a tree for your house who, one, this is their first time meeting you, two, they're guests in your house? So what? And three, it's like a guy and a girl that's going, and it's like your significant others. It's like I wouldn't have necessarily questioned it if it was two guys and two girls going to do an errand, but it's like you're sending your significant others together who supposedly don't know each other to go get a tree and making it some bonding moment. I thought that was so off, but I don't know how these people do stuff, so none of my business. But yeah, and so I'm mentioning this not only because it was weird, but also in the midst of this, he gives, I believe it's his girlfriend's jacket, or like their little brother's jacket. They also have a little brother whose name is Callum. And at some point, they stop by the church before he's telling her, oh, you should like give the speech about baby Jesus's birth. She's like, oh, I'm hungry. And she reaches in the jacket and she eats these candies. Now, when we get to the church, the whole reason that she even starts singing this celebration song or says the words is because she's actually high. Because it so happens that the candies had THC in them. Obviously, they weren't her candy. But yeah, and so she was high while she was giving this speech, and that's how that happened. Moving on, like because she's high, later on she pretty much has like the munchies. And so at the beginning of the movie, The boyfriend tells her that his mom makes these great cookies that, oh, she can have, but there's a bunch that's for her. And I think like a bunch that she gives away or something like that in a cookie exchange. And of course she has the munchies. The first thing she grabs is the cookies and she eats like 6 of them. And she hears the next morning that his mom has to exchange these cookies with, I guess, whatever other stuck up women are in the neighborhood. And so she realizes, hey, I ate all of these cookies. So what's her next thing? She takes the cookies off the counter, puts them in front of the dog, and breaks them up. And then she asks Ian to distract the mom. And then she runs in and she's like, oh my God, the dog ate a bunch of cookies. And of course she's like, they were on the counter. How did he do that? And she's like, I don't know. Things happen. And of course they have to run to the vet with this dog. Why? Because dogs can't eat chocolate. And these were chocolate chip cookies. And so at the vet is like, hey, we're going to have to like get all this stuff out. We're going to do this procedure. The dog's going to have to vomit everything and whatever. And so she's like, oh my God, this is crazy. So she convinces his mom to be like, that she's going to take care of this dog for herself, for her. And, you know, she tells her to wait in the waiting room. And this is when she tries to convince the veterinarian, like, hey, the dog ain't actually eat all of those cookies. I ate the cookies. And, you know, so at first he's like, you know, this violates, you know, what I'm supposed to be doing as a vet. And then she's like, hey, do you have in-laws? How bad are they? And then we hear the dog vomiting and we see that she's faking it. And at the end, he bills her, even though he didn't do jack squats. But anyway, so that's another way where she pretty much gets her approval because she's like, his mom is like, oh my God, like, you know, you were there for me, for this dog and all of that. Now, fast forward, they're actually, now they go out with their significant others into town. I don't know if they're doing shopping or whatever. And then later on, they decide to go out to a bar. And while they're at this bar, her boyfriend's ex shows up and it's awkward. And she's like, oh, hey, like, you can handle his mom. Like, a lot of other women would have ran away. So, you know, good on you. And it's just like, you know that there's tension and something is going to happen. So she gets a call while she's at this bar. She takes the call and she goes outside. And turns out she actually has to run home because her father is selling the house, which I forgot to mention, but her father is selling the house, and the real estate agent, I'm not sure, forgot the keys or doesn't have an extra key, and so she has to run home to give her the key or leave the key somewhere for her. And as she's on the phone and she's looking through the window, she sees her boyfriend and his ex being all chummy and laughing and touching and stuff. And I'll tell you right away, I'm like, I would have walked in there and be like, yo, what's going on? But, you know, she doesn't do that. She's just like, hey, I gotta go. And then Ian is like, I'll drive you. I gotta go do work anyways. And his girlfriend is like, what? No. But it's like, you sent her with him before to go get a tree. Now you don't want him to drop her home or take her home, but anyway, so he takes her. They go in the house, which is empty, and obviously she's reminiscing about everything. She's reminiscing about her mom, the house, you know, and she doesn't really want to give up the house. And so Ian is like, why don't you put up a bid? And she's like, well, my dad is in retirement. He needs all of this money. So they go back home. By the time they get home, you would expect that the siblings are home, which I'm not sure if the girl was home, the girlfriend, Ian's girlfriend, but she goes to the room and her boyfriend is not home yet. So Ian goes and starts working on his proposal. And he looks at the time and it's super late. And then at some point, Avery's boyfriend walks in and it's really late. And he's pretty much like, hey, don't tell Avery about this because she gets away. And he's like, yeah, okay, I won't. And so the next day, when they're out and about, Ian tries to tell Avery, like, hey, like, he didn't actually come in at the time that he told you that he came in. Because in the morning time, her boyfriend was like telling her, like, oh, I went to sleep on the couch because I didn't want to wake you. But Ian knows the truth. And he's trying to tell Avery, and she's like, oh, are you happy with your girlfriend? And he's like, yeah. And so she's like, so why are you trying to come at my boyfriend? I forget what his name is. And I'm like, what? Like, there's been nothing like within this movie for me to even think that like he would want to come at your boyfriend. Like, they haven't really been at odds at all, except for the very beginning of the movie when she was like, don't tell them that we've dated. But they've been actually like super cordial and friendly with each other the entire movie. So I felt like her saying that to him was super out of place, because why would you think that he would tell you this for no reason? But anywho, later on that day or the next day, I'm not sure, they're in Avery's room and they're like talking about, I don't know what, I forget. And Avery mentions, oh, like, you weren't like this when we dated. And when they open the door, Callum is there, the little brother, and lo and behold, he wants to blackmail them because he heard every word of the conversation. And so he starts to blackmail them with really silly stuff that I won't even get into because I really don't feel like it mattered. And I also feel like this was brought into the movie a little late. Granted, the movie is only like an hour and a half or hour and 35 minutes or something like that. And so I really did think, okay, this was brought into the movie a little bit late. I did like the aspect of it. It was silly, but you know, I won't get into it too much. Now, I believe it's like Christmas Eve or it's Christmas Day or whatnot, and they're like exchanging gifts. And at some point, Ian goes back upstairs because Stan, which is Avery's boyfriend's ex's father, who they're friends with, works in construction or something, and he wants to see Ian's proposal. So Ian goes upstairs and he hears noise, and when he opens the door, there's the father of the household, so his girlfriend's father, and Avery's boyfriend's ex's mother are in the closet kissing. And so he's trying to back out. And he's like, I don't want to have no parts in this. And they're like, no, don't tell, don't tell, don't tell. It doesn't matter because later on, everything is revealed from Ian and Avery dating. And this starts because Ian's mom and grandmother come over for some reason. And his grandmother, who has dementia, kind of mentions like, hey, Avery. And they're like, how does she know your name? And she's like, oh, they're trying to play it off until they really can't anymore because his grandmother says something that's like, everybody's like, what? And so it's revealed that they were dating. They're like, oh, like, I didn't want to tell you. And they're like all like shocked and stuff. And then we find out that that these two that Ian just found are having an affair. But the mom is like, oh, I already knew. It's not a big deal. He's gone. He's happy. It's better for everyone. The daughter goes out crying because she's surprised. The youngest brother is laughing at all of this because I guess he's that crazy. And the other one, Avery's boyfriend, he doesn't really have much of a reaction aside from him being surprised about all of this. But it turns out he actually cheated on Avery with his ex when he was out so late. Not that anyone is surprised, because she asks him, did anything happen between you two? And he kind of doesn't answer, but we get the gist that that's what the case is. And it's just wild to me that you respond the way you did to finding out that they dated in the past while you done cheated on her. But anywho, so Avery leaves. Ian breaks up with his girlfriend. I mean, it's implied that he breaks up with her. She goes home. Supposedly Ian told her dad about the house, and he gives her the key to the house. She helps Ian with his proposal, or I guess she had a copy of it, I'm not sure. And she takes it back to her ex's house and begs his mom to give the proposal to Stan. And we find out that eventually she does do that. And Ian didn't know that it was her, but Stan kind of reveals it when he's like, she said to tell Avery, hey, like, I've done this, you can stop coming to my house. Ian's proposal is accepted by Stan, and his boss looks dumb because his boss didn't like it, but whatever. And then we get a scene at the end of the movie that mirrors the beginning of the movie, where, like, I guess they're celebrating her having the house. I'm not exactly sure what they were celebrating. And then Ian comes in, and just like he did in the last one, he wants to give a speech, and her father is like, no, 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 because obviously what happened last time. But he's like, no, it's going to be fine, I promise. And then he makes a speech to her about how he wants to try again with their relationship. They hug and they kiss, and then we get the roll credits, and then we get the animation that implies that they got married. And that's the movie. I felt like it was like super fast paced, I guess, especially towards the last 40 or so minutes. Like, again, it was a quick movie, so I really do feel like the blackmailing thing, I could have cared less about it. It didn't really impact the movie that much at all. I don't think it was necessary, because, like, literally when he revealed everything is when everything else got revealed anyway, so it didn't matter in the grand scheme of things. I also thought that, like, him walking in to give a speech to her about how he wanted her back was also done too quickly. I felt like I didn't feel the emotion in that scene. It was like, oh, okay, like I knew that was gonna happen, because that's just the how these type of movies go. But it's still like you want the emotion there, and I didn't really feel the emotion there. That being said, I do think that this was a solid movie, a solid rom-com Christmas movie. I enjoyed it. I would have to say I probably, on the tier of Christmas movies, rom-com Christmas movies, to be specific, because I really feel like you have to rate certain categories of movies separately from others. I can't rate this with something like, against something like, I don't know, The Running Man or Wicked. Like, these are two different types of movies. So that being said, ranking it in terms of a rom-com Christmas movie, I'd have to give this probably a 6.5. I think it was a solid movie. I don't think it was great by any means, but I think the acting was really good. There's a lot of actors in there that are recognizable, even though I haven't seen them in specific things, but like I know I've seen their faces. The acting was really good. I think the storyline was pretty good. Could some things have been left out or had more emotion? Sure. But there's other parts of the movie that definitely had significant emotion. And yeah, like I don't have a problem with it. So yeah, that's my ranking overall. This movie is on Netflix. If you want to watch this movie, it's on Netflix. Watch it and tell me what you think. Um, Make sure you like this video, comment, and subscribe to my channel to show me some support. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.